Welcome to TRADEREP. This is Short Hammer. It is the 3rd of July 2019, and we're looking at Amazon. Now on Amazon, we've sort of been meandering between points for the last week or two. Now we had a squeeze and a push right headed into close yesterday. So what's interesting about that is back on the 20th, which was the FOMC, we had a pop up and a push into the 1935 area. We went higher, I believe, pre-market, but just on the daily chart, it's showing us a push into this area right here, which was an area, if you look back, when we approached it, there was a rejection. Then we had a spike through, then we came back through, then we held here on this candle. Then it's just an area of contention. So this is a line that we have, a supply demand line at 1936. So on the pullback, we held the 1868 by 1875 area, and we sort of been pushing to the upside since then, even though we've had some days where we've had pullbacks, but we've held our levels. 1889s, then 1895 was a level, 1902, 1908. So let's slide to the left. Go to our... Okay. Now on our 5-minute chart, the numbers that we've been calling out on Amazon have been 1902, and then if you're below that, we have 1895, 1889, 1875. Above 1902, we have 1908, we have 1916, we have 1923.75, and then we have 1936. So if you look at Amazon, what it did on Tuesday, we had a pullback right below the 1908 area, and we kind of bounced around it, just right near this area. It was 1906s. We held this pivot here and popped to the upside. When we started to squeeze, we were just finding support at each level. The 1916s, this was the quarterly pivot area from last month, which is now the weekly pivot. Pushed through the main intraday pivot, held. And it consolidated for a little bit above the 1923.75, and we took a leg right into the 1936 area. So what are we watching for today? We need to break above the 1936 area to be able to see the next supply demand zone. We might see a pullback into the 1930s, and maybe even to the 1923.75. We might see a pullback here potentially. But for me, being that the market was a little bit weak yesterday as far as the big boys, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and as I was watching the SPY, that Amazon was pulling as those things were either going sideways or slowly climbing. Amazon was just on this epic run. And for people like Ski that they love playing Amazon, especially to the upside, he and Six were probably already in on this, riding this back to the upside. So they probably did really well on this. Now, what are we watching for into tomorrow? Or into later today, I should say. If we break above this 1936 and squeeze through this turbulence here, we're looking at 1950s. If we hold up in this congestion area here, we're going to pull back into the 1930 area, maybe even this 1925-23 area, but we've popped zones here. So now we want to look for a hold of the 1923.75 zone. We want to hold above this supply demand zone. And the main intraday pivot is at 1925. So a pullback into this area may be a good play for a attempted push through the 1936 area into the next levels. So we'll see if we have enough volume and momentum this week, because we have an abridged week. Today is a half day. Thursday we have no trading. So let's see if we have enough momentum and push and enough volume to break this 1936 and push us to the next levels. My next supply demand zone is all the way up here at 1988 by 1997. Do I think we're going to run directly to that? No way. I mean, I don't believe that we have enough momentum in the market. But post-market, the president did recommend 2 new members for the Fed, and they both seem to be interested in cutting interest rates. So we may see the narrative switch from the G20 and the good vibes that we had from cooling of tensions with China and switch back to the cutting of interest rates.